Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Feryanchek. I'm an engagement editor here at the Ottawa Citizen. We are live here in our busy newsroom on election night, and I'm here with my colleague,
David Reevely. I write about politics for the Citizen and Sun.
So first off, David, tell us what happened tonight. Big picture.
Big picture, the Progressive Conservatives won the majority government that the pollsters were pretty much predicting. They took seats in the 416, they took tons of seats in the 905, and a whole lot of seats that the NDP were unusually competitive in. They did okay, but they ended up losing. But here in Ottawa, the Progressive Conservatives did not have the success that they were hoping for.
How surprising is that Ottawa remains such a strong Liberal stronghold compared to the rest of the province?
It's certainly surprising to me. I was expecting that the Tories would win seats like probably Ottawa South, seats like Orleans, and they didn't. We have Liberals who hung on there. People like Marie-France Lalonde looks, with a few polls to go, but she has a commanding lead in Orleans. John Fraser has a commanding lead in Ottawa South. Nathalie Desrosiers, the Liberal incumbent in Ottawa-Vanier, probably expected to win, but that one was not close. Bob Chiarelli did lose in Ottawa-West Nepean. There's still a couple of polls yet to report there, but it looks as though the NDP are going to win that one, and if they don't, it'll be the Tories. And in Ottawa Centre, actually, Yasser Naqvi, who is arguably one of the more capable ministers around here, he got taken out by Joel Harden of the NDP.
What do you think that means for that riding and the voters who live there?
It probably speaks to a more general phenomenon in Ottawa, which is that we are apparently a fairly left-wing city. We have had Progressive Conservatives elected sort of deeper in, closer to downtown before. When Mike Harris was premier, we had Tories in Ottawa West Nepean, we had Tories in the riding that's now Orleans, and it didn't happen. Lisa MacLeod was re-elected very comfortably in Nepean. Marilee Fullerton kept the Kanata Carleton blue. She defeated all comers, really. Jack McLaren, the incumbent, who switched parties halfway through the last term, came, I think, fourth, possibly fifth. Turned out not to be a whole lot of loyal McLaren voters there. Goldie Gamari has won in Carleton by a very comfortable margin, and we just got some numbers in very recently in Glengarry Prescott Russell, where Amanda Simard, who's also the Progressive Conservative, looks like she's probably walking away with that win. That riding took a long time, though.
And do you know why the polls were open later and why those results came in later?
There was one poll, one specific voting place where they had a technical problem, and it took a long time to get all those votes recorded. So most of the polls in Glengarry Prescott Russell closed when they were supposed to. That one stayed open, and they held back the results for the entire riding. So
almost everything else came in
all at once.
Very quickly, though.
Yeah, we got a lot of results very quickly, although there are some nail-biter ridings where, for some reason, there are 2 or 3 polls that we're still waiting for. And in fact, one that could end up mattering a great deal. It's not around here. It's in Thunder Bay, Atikokan, up in northwestern Ontario. But at last check, there was one poll left to report. They had 72 out of 73 in, but the NDP were ahead there by 5 votes, and over the Liberal, who's the incumbent. And the reason why that matters is, at the moment, the Liberals do not have official party status in the legislature. They don't have enough seats. They won't get a caucus budget. They won't get automatic chances to ask questions in question period. That's how badly they
mind-blowing.
Yeah, from a majority government to third place and not even official party status.
Does it
unless
just
that
hinge
one
on that
poll,
one seat?
It hinges on that one poll and that one seat. If that flips around, then the Liberals will have 8 seats, assuming they don't somehow lose some of the others. They'll have 8 seats and they will have official party status.
Just 5 votes, so that goes to show whether or not your vote matters. How was voter turnout in this election?
Actually, with some of those polls yet to report, we can't say for sure. It looks like turnout was slightly better than the last election in 2014, which was in turn slightly better than the turnout in 2011. Still not great, still around the 50% mark, but a positive trend, if only a little bit.
What were some of the most exciting races here in Ottawa?
Well, the one that we are still waiting for to have nailed down is Ottawa West Nepean.
What's going on?
In that one, the NDP are ahead by something like 100 votes, which is a fairly comfortable margin 4 polls yet to report out of 80, and we've actually seen some numbers go up and down quite a bit. Pasma's been ahead, the New Democrat candidate has been ahead the entire night, but she's had a lead as big, I think at one point, to 700 votes, and it's now down to 100. And Ottawa West Nepean is an interesting riding. It's not homogeneous. There are pockets that vote different ways. So where those last 4 polls have yet to come in from could actually make a big difference. It's between her and Jeremy Roberts, the Tory.
And this is live, so how soon do you think we'll find out the results there?
Honestly, I don't know what's holding back the last 4, so there's no way to tell when they're going to come in. For all I know, they came in just while we've been talking, because once they start, they move quickly.
Yeah.
But if something is holding them up, there's no way to know.
Going back, big picture for the province, what does it mean with our new premier?
Well, Doug Ford is going to get to try to live up to a bunch of the promises that he made while he was running. And I don't, like a lot of people, I don't know how he's going to do it. He's promised that he can balance the budget and find efficiencies that other people don't know where they're going to turn up. He says he won't lay off a single person. No one's going to lose their job. He's going to be able to solve wait times for healthcare by adding a bunch of long-term care spaces. We do need more nursing home spaces in this province, but whether that's going to be enough and how he's going to do it without spending a whole ton more money, he's made big promises. Now we'll get to see whether he can live up to them.
But we're going to get beer for $1, so...
Maybe, yeah. You'll be allowed to sell beer for $1. Nobody sells beer at the minimum now, so we'll see.
What else about tonight has
I think the thing that strikes me is how few Tories Ottawa elected this time out. When Mike Harris was premier, we had more progressive conservatives around here, and the number of voices you have at the cabinet table really does make a difference. Under Kathleen Wynne, there were a lot of Liberals from Eastern Ontario and Ottawa in particular. They called themselves Team Ottawa whenever Wynne was here and announcing some investment in transit or something like that. She would always talk about how the Ottawa MPPs were always pressing her for more money for these things, and I don't think she was kidding. There was something in her body language where they're always asking for money and they never let me forget it. But you need to have those people there able to talk to, be ministers, able to talk to ministers, and able to bug the premier to spend $1 billion on transit. And it's not that Ottawa has nobody. As I say, we have Goldie Gamari, we have Lisa MacLeod, we have Marilee Fullerton, but we don't really have a downtown presence. And we have, it's going to be hard for, I think, someone like Doug Ford not to see Ottawa as a nest of Liberals and New Democrats. And particularly as he tries to figure out how he's going to fulfill some of these promises, it's not like there's a clear plan. So a lot of stuff is going to have to be made up and decided on the fly. And it's really going to make a difference who he has whispering in his ear as he makes these decisions. And so if he doesn't have a lot of Ottawans pressing for Ottawa, and certainly not downtown Ottawans pressing for Ottawa, the city could find itself in a bad way.
Certainly seems like Toronto will be the height of his concerns, the transit investments and that sort of thing. Like, where does that leave us as a city?
The Progressive Conservatives have committed that they promise that they will live up to commitments made by the Liberals. They've said, there will be $1 billion for the next phase of light rail. There will be money for a new hospital to rebuild the Civic. There are a number of other promises like that have come under the Liberals and that the Tories say that they are going to sustain. What we might worry about is new needs that crop up. Will there be funding for further transit after this? Will there be money for a trolley along Carling Avenue that is in the long-term plans? Like, no one's talking about building right now, but it's there. Will there be money to expand hospitals? Will there be money for other things? And how will Ottawa, with its relatively smaller contingent, be able to argue for that kind of attention compared to cities like Toronto that will have a lot more Tories speaking for them?
So when we all wake up tomorrow, what is going to be on everyone's mind and everyone's lips?
I think the extent of the Tory victory, which as I say, has not really come through in Ottawa, but it is a resounding win for the Tories, no question about it. Ontario really is a sea of blue, and now we'll get to see what Doug Ford can do.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's it for us. Thanks for watching, everyone, and happy election night.
Yep. Thanks.